Hello, this is Lisa Lee, and welcome to What's It Gonna Be Wednesdays. I'm gonna change the name every time I sit down because I never really settle on anything. But Wednesday readings are kind of spontaneous. That's been the way that it's been looking and feeling. And so we're gonna go into this revelatory style and just see what Spirit wants to bring through. What is in store for us in the way of a message? What is the wisdom that our guides want to talk to us about? And there's a cat hair there. It's good luck. With fertility. And I hear the song, talking about our revolution, you know. The heart chakra. I like these energies. Ooh, and look at that. We're going to just let the three that are there be what they are. We're going to look at the bottom of the deck and see what that's all about. Crown chakra, giftedness at the level of psychic intuition. It's your connection to the universe and your ability to transmute negative energy into light. And we've got fertility and heart chakra. And this is going to be a, there's something here with the heart chakra that I'm going to look at a little closer. But with fertility, that can be a number of things. And I want you to let your intuition sort of like, because there are people here that I feel someone catch in their throat a little bit around this concept. And so I want to open your mind to the possibilities around what that word really stirs. And it stirs bringing in new life. A creativity that actually is fertile is like a creativity that brings in new insights, new life, a new experience, a new version of yourself, a newness overall that is expansive, that operates like, it's like I see a little plant, like new life. And then as it grows, it expands. And then with it, there's a bloom and there is sunshine and there's a new experience. So fertility could be quite literally a new life, but it also could be your new life, and it also could be new life to something that you like are meant to bring life to. And so we have alchemy, we have allowance, and we have soul time. And so with this crown chakra, that's going to be where you get your inspiration. It's also going to be where you transmute negative energy into light. So transmute negative energy into light, you know, can be like a grand thing. It doesn't have to be. It can simply just be the negative energy associated with the stories that you tell yourself about the life that you've had, the life that you're supposed to have, the way that people are, the way that things are. Anything that is like a weight over the possibility of you like reaching your potential is something that needs to be transmuted, and like it has to turn into power. So anything that is against you being in power, anything that is holding you back, anything that is sort of like capping your creative potential or capacity, this needs to be transmuted. This needs to be turned into something new. It can't usually be vanished, wished away, or like avoided. We usually have to take a circumstance that is somehow like negative and transmuted into a situation that is positive, or something that is positive from a bad circumstance. So there's this aspect of like learning the magic of silver lining things. Putting a silver lining on things is not wishful thinking, and it's not bypassing. It's like, this is the crappy situation. I'm gonna make the best of it. And making the best of it is gonna offer me this following thing, this following like opportunity, this maturity. It's going to give me something. I'm going to squeeze life out of this situation one way or another, and it's going to offer life. And so this alchemy is about, what is it going to mean for you to be in a position where you can reach that inspiration? So the inspiration is going to come through in a number of ways. With crown chakra, we're talking about inspiration / insemination. So whether that fertility brings new life in the form of new life, that's an insemination. That's a receiving kind of a position. So opportunity and receiving like that insemination then leads to the new life happening. With fertility in new life, in like your new experience of life, what you're creating, the inspiration needs to come in. And so this heart chakra here, there's some healing, there's something that has to happen around the heart chakra to make the insemination or the inspiration possible with this fertility that we're seeing here. And soul time and allowance and alchemy are a big part of that. And so we're going to take these things like one by one and look at them a little bit closer. Some water. I hope you're doing well. You're living through some tumultuous times, but your guides are here and they're ready to guide. So that crown chakra, again, is speaking to psychic ability, sure, absolutely. But what is a psychic ability? If you don't have access to basic inspiration in your life where you are inspired to try new things, meet new people, transform, expand, like there are things that are of interest that like catch your attention. Yes, there are like things like depression and anxiety that can really eclipse what it means to hope and what it means to receive. But what we're talking about with soul time, allowance, and alchemy and the crown chakra is whether it's at the level of like psychic ability or it's at the level of inspiration, your psychic ability should be giving you inspiration. That should be a source of inspiration. And I'm just going to sit for a minute because I'm feeling this clench around my throat chakra and I kind of want to know why. It doesn't have to, you know what I mean? Like something's always inspiring you. And so when it comes to the receptivity around having psychic abilities, what are you in the receiving course of? Like sit down and write down what you're receiving. Make a list of the energies and the information that you're receiving. I want you to take some time as like part of the exercise of developing your psychic abilities to sit with what it is to listen to your intuition. And listening to your intuition is very different from picking up interference patterns. And I think a lot of what people mistake as psychic abilities is just picking up interference patterns. And making meaning of interference patterns is only going to get you so far. There's also intuition, making meaning of intuition. Intuition makes meaning of itself. And so I kind of want to talk about just the difference between these two poles of receptivity, because when it comes to the crown chakra, we're always receiving something. We're always working with messaging in some ways. We're always interacting with subliminal influences. And it doesn't matter if you're very spiritual or secular. A subliminal influence is what has a subliminal effect on you. And so, I mean, even something as simple as listening to tarot readings all day long. Now, I don't want to talk you out of that. Obviously, I read tarot cards. But when you are listening to somebody who is speaking to you in the first person, and you have it playing in the background, at a subconscious level, your mind is receiving that as speaking directly to you. And so I want you to be really, really careful about what it is to interact with the psychic arts, because what is sacred, you create a sacred space and you enter a sacred space, and that signals to your body and it signals to your mind that the information that you're getting exists in a certain sphere of existence. It's like that space of the infinite. But if you are listening to people speaking to you in a first person point of view, and you're taking that information in and you're not thinking about it and you're just absorbing it, whether it be scrolling and your FYP is instructing the way that you kind of programming yourself, or it means that you've got like the TV in the background and that is influencing the way that you view the world, because at a subliminal level, the stories that you are putting in the background are coloring the way that you frame things. Or is it that you're listening to a lot of readings that are speaking to you in a first person point of view and you're internalizing that information as being like relevant? Like the reason that I bring all this up is because we're doing psychic work here. And so we want to be very clear about the magic that's at play. We want to be free of any form of manipulation. And so with my channel, we do a lot of philosophy, and what you're listening to is, it's spoken to in the first person point of view, but it's always about emancipation. It's always about healing. And so these readings are very powerful, whether you are listening to them for meditation purposes, which is what you do with collective readings. You think about what's being said, you meditate, you try the situations on as they fit, you look at what they reflect back to you, and you make decisions from your own intuition based on the way that you are interpreting all that. That's a tool. But to have this stuff just playing in the background and playing in the background and playing in the background, you know, to constantly be, you know, picking up interference patterns, repurposing them, and then using that as like messaging without ever really like being connected to intuition. There's a lot of ways in which we need the soul time, the allowance, and the alchemy to actually have that experience of fertility and to really be receiving the stuff that's going to nourish us, because that's going to make the difference at the level of your heart. And that your heart, that's your connection to your mother, that's your connection to your intuition. And so what we want to talk about here is, what do we have that your guides want to reveal to you? There is a tremendous fertility in your creative abilities, but there's a whole part of that creative stuff that includes inception. What is what is in your environment that you're picking up, that you're working with, and then you're bringing into the world in terms of your perspective and your perspective, your voice, and your messaging and your internal messaging. So when it comes to your psychic abilities, and it comes to your crown chakra, when it comes to your unconscious influences or your subliminal influences, I want you to walk around with a notebook for a day, and I want you just to write down what's coming in. What is your mind saying to you? What is what you have been feeding into the operating system, been spitting back out, and for what purpose and how is that actually serving your goals or not serving your goals? How is that making you more empowered and more creative, and how is that actually taking from that? So with this fertility being about like what's on offer is you are fertile. There is a wealth of experience within you. There's a wealth of wisdom associated with that experience. There's a lot that you have to integrate in the way of point of view. And then there's something that wants to be born through your perspective, but not without your heart, not without your actual intuition. And so when it comes to picking up interference patterns and justice in the reverse, there's some injustice here. Doing yourself justice or doing yourself an injustice has a lot to do with what we do with the information that we receive, with how we work with it. Tower. Somebody felt that. Is it opening you up, or is it becoming you like a closed, angry, stingy person? That tower is not good. That's not a good foundation. And by closed, angry, stingy person, like, we have to be honest with ourselves, because we're being offered a new opportunity with fertility, and we're being offered a new opportunity with heart chakra, which means that if we are continually having an experience of the information that we pick up in the atmosphere and that we nourish ourselves with, if our inner world like continues to be this like stingy, anemic place of judgment and condemnation and like me against them, us against me, like this weird environment, curating that environment in an appropriate way is going to be like the difference between like a happy life and a really difficult life. Curating what you let in the way of information, and curating what it means for you to translate and transmute that information from a place of intuition versus just picking up and like there's something here about like your guides are like, stop like being such an antenna for all the wrong stuff that has nothing to do with you anyway. Become a beacon of something of substance by actually getting your source of information from a just place, a place that will do you justice and will do your fertility justice. You can only create something as good as the inspiration that you are open to. And that inspiration does come from outside of you. And so what you are inspired by says a lot about where you are and where you want to work from. So it's a good thing, look at what you're inspired by. But with the Three of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles speaks of building something substantial, important, of quality, enduring past your lifetime, legacy. And especially this card, there's always somebody leading the way. And there are others that are sort of there, like in a place of observation, learning how to do what that leading in the way, like what this leading the way is, and those that are watching what that means to take that path and work with. If you've watched people play video games, you all know what it looks like. And if you don't, like, just spend like a little time like watching a YouTube of someone playing a video game. What it means to observe here with the Three of Pentacles in terms of building something of substance, there's something to that. There's something related to building something of substance, learning what that means. At the Page of Cups, the Page of Cups comes in at the level of amateur to a certain extent, because it's an offer of not, like, the Page of Cups is a child and not mature. And the Three of Pentacles here, so like whether you are the fertile person that needs to keep your channel clear of energies in the way or energies that want to be in the way. And so I'm seeing this because I'm seeing these cards like with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse here as being very specifically about something. With the Seven of Swords on the bottom of the deck, I felt that right away. So that Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck is going to be like this deception, or maybe it's a self-deception. And when it comes to your being receptive to inspiration, that is going to give you like that piece of art that you're looking for as like you're fertile to bring into the world and represent with and have as like a part of what you create and offer. Or there's a life that you're meant to bring into the world, and there's somebody that you have to be open to insemination with, or a process that you have to be open with in terms of insemination. Like there's something about the heart chakra here, and I felt a blockage around the heart chakra, and I didn't really understand like what that was until I saw the injustice here and the Tower. And so now when I think about soul time, allowance, and alchemy, I am looking at a situation where your guides are saying you've been given the soul time, you have the soul time, you're meant to use the soul time. And you have to start to like really monitor your environment. Like I just saw it because I've been dealing with this a lot, where I'm doing readings, or I'm just like going through my day, and there was an energy that will continuously try to like butt into my energy field and siphon some response or some energy. You know, somebody who's ruminating in their head about you, or, you know, placing you in an appointment in their life or a place in their life, and you don't want anything to do with them. You don't even know who they are. Like, who are you? Like, there's something about these buffeting energies and what you have on offer and what you are of value with and who you are and what you're doing. Because there is something with the Three of Pentacles and the fertility that says like you are creating something into the world of value. You are making something of the substance of who you are that has a quality to it. And if there's an injustice here, or a series of injustice here with the Tower and the work, you know, there's a call to like two things with the self-deception here, because it's going to be different places with this, like with this person with the blocked heart chakra. It's going to be lots of different things. If there's someone who wants to make themselves the center of your attention energetically, like either by bothering you during your day, knocking on your door, calling you, or they are just like ruminating like a crazy person and trying so hard to somehow be in orbit or make themselves of, you know, like they want your attention. There are things that are going to try and call your attention. And so whether your attention is being called by like the interference of like somebody trying to will you into orbit of them, that's disgusting, by the way. And so you need to be able to put like a cold stop to that every single time and allow that person to feel that they are repellent in that behavior and not something that you're going to engage with. And so there is something about being strong and like really setting boundaries related to like what this fertility is, because I'm seeing that with the self-deception here. Now, the other aspect of self-deception that could be here related to your fertility, where like you're not bringing through new life, you're not getting inspiration, you're not getting opportunities to bring new life, like whatever the external circumstances are, like you're finding yourself in a drought or at a loss. There's this other thing about like the seed that is not planted. The Ace of Pentacles speaks to the road that you're supposed to be on, that's supposed to be your road. And nobody can take it from you, and no one should. And anyone who tries to is just like, that's just bottom feeding. So with the Ace of Pentacles being in reverse and this heart chakra, you know, if you have a seed that you are meant to plant in the way of your life and in the path that you are meant to take, and it's not being planted because your attention is fixed where you aren't, and your intention is not fixed on what it would mean to get there, then we have this amateur kind of quality. So that Page of Cups being like the new life that wants to come through you either in the learning process of what it means to like observe, like identify where you are, identify where you want to be, and chart that path and begin to chart that path forward and plant the seeds that are calling to you, that you are inspired by, so that they do have an opportunity to growth. In order for that fertility to happen, we're talking about a seed Whether it's a seed of an idea growing into a full-blown thing, or it's the seed of a sperm growing into a fetus, or it's the speed maybe of a plant that grows when you plant it and then offers you nourishment, or the seed of an idea or a relationship, like whatever needs to grow, you have to let it grow. You can't just will it into being. You can't just will that relationship into being. You can't just will that opportunity into being. You can't just will that place in a person's life into being. You can't try to center yourself around anything other than like knowing yourself and knowing where you're going. This came up in my enrichment reading. But when it comes to like what you're poised to receive, the block in front of the heart chakra, we're talking about it for a reason. We're here with the Seven of Swords saying, like, don't deceive yourself. There's an injustice at the level of what you're meant to do in terms of the soul time. The soul time asks you to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge. Something that you're not seeing, something that has to develop in the dark. Think about a seed in the ground, develops in the dark, and then sprouts into the open air. And a sperm and an egg, that seed like hits the egg and it grows in a dark womb until it hits the air and becomes seen and talking and understood, or not talking, whatever. There's a whole in the dark period with everything that needs to grow. And that's that soul time. The soul time is when we nurture these seeds of inspiration. And we nurture these seeds of inspiration by allowing for that darkness to actually exist, allowing for that soul time to allow things that we don't see to emerge, instead of harping on some injustice about what we want, what we need, what we have to have. And like centering yourself on another person's life is always a mistake. No matter how much that you think that they need you, no matter how much you think that like centering yourself in another person's life, or putting your life on hold while you wait for that other person to somehow center you, you have to center yourself in your life and allow for things that you don't see yet to bloom, and not be striving. You know, this allowance here is like there's hard work that is meant to be done in terms of what it means to plant the seed that is the life that you are meant to embark on from a place of childlike wonder. This does begin with a new beginning, but there's something here about the Three of Pentacles. What do you want to build? What you want to build in the way of a life, what you want to build in the way of a life with others, that the soul time and the injustice, like there has to be something, because the Tower here under the alchemy says that like right now in terms of fertility, the alchemy is not great with the Tower here. And the allowance has to do with the work that needs to be done related to the soul time, and moving out of a place where there's an injustice at the level of like composting, and an injustice at the level of letting things grow before you see them. Because the Seven of Swords is a problem. It means that like what is being intercepted and received as inspiration, this is like interference patterns having something to do with this Three of Pentacles. So let's see what that Three of Pentacles is meaning. So you want to like pick up at the level of intuition, not at the level of interference patterns. So what's an interference pattern? It's when your antenna is up and you're looking for something. You're not open to inspiration. You're not sitting there in a place of reception and wonder and awe and exuberance and enthusiasm because you're dancing with the information and it's bringing you alive. You're sitting there looking for a specific information to make a specific thing in so that you can further a specific agenda. That's the difference between intuition and picking up interference patterns. Interference patterns, you're looking for something. You want to get something. You want it to sound a certain way. You want it to be relayed in a certain way. You want to make it a certain way. There's the divine masculine aspect of God within you that is about agency, that is about taking the materials and forming them into something. But when it comes to the reception of a psychic ability or an inspiration, that is not the phase of development in the dark where you don't know what's happening and you're open to seeing something emerge from the process of discovery. That's very different than you've got your antenna up and you're looking for the right angle and the right words and the right story, and someone else said it like this and they did it like that and I'm going to do it like this. Like, that is not it. For this purpose, for the purpose of receiving what you're meant to have by way of the fertility, what you're meant to bring forward. Think about if you were, and it doesn't matter what gender, what sex, it doesn't matter. If you were impregnated and you were to sit there and you were going to write a list, and I want the baby to look like this, and I want them to sound like that, and I want every little thing about this to be the way that I am deciding that it's going to be, and I'm going to search for it to be exactly that when this is forming. No, you sit there, you let it form in the dark, you let it percolate, you feel it kick. and you wonder about it. You put music on your belly and you think about, like, what does it think of that? You wonder, you pray, you have a communication, you listen, you feel the different fluctuations within yourself and you respond to them. It is pre-language for a long time, that relationship. And so things percolate, they compost, they create in that dark space, and you do not put your hand out and say, I need these things for myself, me. You don't do it. You know, and I don't mean to be mean, like, there's no meanness in what your guides are saying. They're just saying that, you know, you want to be fertile. You want to unblock that heart chakra and let life in, and let life create life within you and bring life into the world. And you want that life to be alive, and you want that experience of life to be alive, and it produces expression that is alive. Well, to unblock that heart chakra and really plant that seed where it belongs, you know, there is this aspect of, like, what's happening here, where you are eclipsing wonder, eclipsing joy, and eclipsing your own journey, because you have to be an expert before you're an expert. Because you need to know everything, and you need to be certain about it. And it has to come out exactly how you want it to be. And you can't let this thing just be. And so, like, that's why we have injustice here at the level of soul time. Because soul time, again, is about letting new realities emerge. And the realities that emerge, they embrace concepts that, like, that are infinite and timeless and soul. And so let's look at injustice and Three of Pentacles here. Because especially with fertility being something that involves being able to pick up inspiration in order to make something new. It involves being inspired, genuinely inspired, not like that interference patterns. I need to look a certain way, so I need to get that, and now I'm going to bring it me. Like, now you're narcissistic in one way or another. And again, everybody does this to, like, a certain level. Like, we all in our path towards maturity, like, become less and less dependent on external, like, stuff to give us value. When we need external stuff to give us value, we need to take that value from devaluing external stuff. Like, it's not a good situation. And so, like, that internal value system is so critical to having a foundation that we can stand on with the alchemy that we bring into the world, and people pick up on in the way of our vibes. And those vibes do offer us, like, opportunities. And so with this Three of Pentacles, with fertility and this injustice under soul time, what about you is not embracing a new reality and allowing it to emerge from places of uncertainty, from places of wonder, from places of, like, a young, being new at something, being a child at something, allowing something to be, like, allowing yourself to not be an expert and to be learning something, to be imperfect. That's critical here in terms of the fertility, because I see that with the Three of Pentacles. Like, someone's an expert at the video game, but then somebody's not, and that's okay. The soul time is where you learn that expertise, but that soul time isn't about, like, scavengers hunting for meaning, to make meaning of themselves, to leverage their own voice. Like, soul time is a completely different thing. Soul time is going to be, like, this period of allowance for, like, a new alchemy to bring forth, like, a sense of self and the inspiration that sense of self can grasp. Like, there's something so powerful there. And so you were meant to be fertile, and that includes making a new life. That means a life change where the life that you have turns into a life where you have a baby in it. Fertility, whether it's bringing new life for yourself, or bringing new life into your life, means changing the way that your life looks completely. And so what you don't see that is yet to emerge, the heart chakra plays a really big role here, which is why we don't want the blockage with the Ace of Pentacles. We don't want your path blocked, because you're picking up on interference patterns and being driven by them, instead of really being in tune with your intuition, which is a much deeper process. And it comes from a different kind of searching. And so we have to think about that Seven of Swords that says, like, there's some level of deception here that is causing that Tower, that is causing a lack of people being able to see you clearly, that is causing you a lack of social opportunities to mature. This is a tricky one here with social opportunities to mature. Because with the Eight of Wands, I always see the Eight of Wands as lots of different information. Lots of, yeah, so like this being in reverse with Justice in reverses. And I'm doing reversals today because I've just been seeing that a lot. Like it came out earlier in another reading. But Eight of Wands here, you know, is like lots of information coming at you very, very quickly. and things moving very fast, and you having like a lot, like it's like interference, it's like stimulation. And so when I look at the Two of Cups and I look at the Lovers, I see that, especially with Justice in reverse around soul time, we need quiet and introspection in order to integrate new information so that it can become our own wisdom based on our own experiences. It means really sitting with the self, and it means making ourselves available to the reality that we're living in and who we really want to be, and thinking about like the tactical difference between where we are and where we want to be, and allowing for that process of maturity to give us the rewards that we're seeking, because it is the process of maturity and the maturity gained through finding yourself in one place and wanting to be another and making that distance. That actually, that's like those levels up, you know, you level up. And so like there's a lot of intuition involved in the experiencing and the processing and the doing. But when we're not experiencing and processing and doing, when we're keeping things very surface, when we're just like, you know, skating at the top of the information and just like not really being in a place where we can let people see us. If we don't see ourselves clearly, we can't let anyone see us. There's no way to let other people see us unless we first start to see ourselves clearly. That's a full-time job for a while, and that's what soul time is all about. So if you find yourself like in a place where you don't have a lot of influences, or there aren't influences, that means you are there for this time to really get to know yourself, so that you can get to know who you are, so that when you show up, you're showing up as fully you. To show up as fully you means not just distracting yourself with interference patterns and churning that into whatever meaning you can at ready access. Like, that's not the way to do it. Because if you are not being given opportunities to relate to others, those are opportunities to mature socially. And that can be really, really frustrating. And we can feel agony when we are denied opportunities to mature socially. That can be a pain that is worse than any pain you can possibly imagine, because it's like a stunting of your growth that is coming from outside of you, that you don't have control over, that you have to endure. So it's a type of deprivation. It's a type of starvation. And it can be really, really damaging to go for long periods of time without those opportunities for social maturation. And so that's where the Lover's card is really tricky in reverse, because the Lover's card is about maturing in relationship with someone. And to mature in relationship with someone means you leave the comfort zone, you leave the relationships that you're in, and you enter into new, different relationships that offer you an opportunity to have a different experience of yourself. A new experience of yourself, and that's a maturing, and that gives you a different mirroring. And sometimes that mirroring is accepting, and sometimes that mirroring is rejecting, but it always gives you a new experience of yourself, and you always grow into a new version of yourself as a result of that. And that's a social maturation. And so the Two of Cups and the Lover's card in reverse with just the interference pattern means not allowing yourself, and for whatever reason, not giving yourself the opportunities to be seen, to really be seen. Because knowing yourself and then putting yourself on display as yourself, that might be a slower process of being discovered. That might be a slower discovery process. But what you're looking for is genuine connection, not somebody connecting with you in the way that you want to be perceived so that you feel of value. And now there's like something there that is not just about just like being mirrored properly. Mirroring, getting proper mirroring often means mirroring where you're like, you know, I don't look that great in this light. That's social maturation, because nobody looks awesome at all times, and you shouldn't want to. And part of what it is to be in a relationship is to be like, I don't know, in this person's gaze, they're seeing me in this way where I feel really valued, or they're seeing me in this way where it seems like they're seeing something that I'm not seeing, and there's opportunity for growth with that Seven of Swords. And so, you know, in order for you to come into these opportunities, these social opportunities, there is this call to move out of receiving interference patterns and then putting those interference patterns on curated display in lieu of a genuine experience of yourself. Because we all do that. And so that's why I'm seeing, like, if the seed is not planted, if we've got a tower here around what it is for you to allow for this, like this work, this hard work that has to be done. And if the soul time that you're given is not being used for like the justice of that self-discovery, there's something here about that Page of Cups being a young energy and like needing this time with the heart chakra to get things, to set things straight with the Seven of Swords, because there is an opportunity with fertility for the Lovers card. And there is an opportunity with fertility, both the Lovers card and the Two of Cups, and like fertility, the Lovers, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Fertility, the Two of Cups, that also makes a lot of sense. And fertility at the level of creativity, where you're bringing something new into the world, that's also something that if you want it to be really good, if you want it to be undeniably impactful, then it should be channeled. It should be influenced by the divine. It should be influenced by your higher self. It should be a pure expression. It should be something novel, something new that can come only through your experience and the way you express it. And that's bringing something new into the world that then supports you and then allows you to be seen as the way that you truly are, and not how you want to be seen based on the behaving good or the performing right. Because that rug is going to get torn right out, because that's what that Tower is. And so we're kind of getting ahead of it. We don't want that rug to get torn out. We want to make sure that we curate our influences so that they're building us up. We don't want to be listening to things in the background that are programming us with fear, whether that fear is that there's nothing that can be done and you're just powerless because look at those people are powerless. That may be true, but it's not true for you right now. So there's no sense in you centering yourself in that story. The power is in you centering yourself in the story that you're in, growing and maturing from that space, gaining like the stamina and the strength and the influence to then be impactful in the ways that you're able to be impactful, because that's all that you're responsible for, because that's all that there ever is. And so this interference pattern at the level of like everything that you could possibly want to be, but somehow not connecting with a tangible way of like being seen, heard, and expressing, not being able to connect with that inspiration in a way that like tangibly makes something in your life, like, because the Lovers card, even if it's inspiration and it's new creation, means that you're interacting with something that's inspiring you, so that there's a God that is inspiring you, that is like tactically and inspirationally and like marvelously real. There's a person, there's a friend, there's a project, there's a job. Something with the Lovers and the Two of Cups is an outside interaction. And so picking up that inspiration and picking up that insemination, either way, because it's going to be different for different people, because the cards are what they are, and then how you interpret them using your lens is your message. That's always the case. And so when we sit back and we're in this place of meditation, thinking about what is the interference pattern that is hitting your crown chakra, when you sit down to write a list of everything that you have that you're picking up on. Are you picking up on, and listen to the stuff that you're listening to. What are you listening to? Stop and think about what's playing in the background. What is influencing your unconscious space? And how is that part of the insemination and the fertility? And what is that bringing, what is the fruit that your spirit is producing from those influences? And if you're not satisfied, curate the influences. That's like the first step, and it's an easy first step. And once you've curated those influences, what are you falling in love with that is giving you the inspiration to create a whole new life with, or to create something into your life that gives you a whole new life? Or what is this inspiration that you have been bringing into your life that now brings you into a place where you're inspiring someone else? They're falling in love with what you've curated in the way of a voice, because it is different, because you have taken the time to step out of the interference patterns and into a place where you're speaking from your own experience, your own knowing. And that has a different gravity, and people can pick up on it, and people can meet you where you are because you know where you are. And so with this soul time and this justice, we want to turn some of these cards around. Yes, of course, Three of Pentacles, you're meant to build with others. But Page of Pentacles, start where you are, very intentionally. And then from where you are, curate the right influences. And when you're curating those right influences, be intentional about what you let program you, honestly. Because something's programming you at all times. If it is, like, if you're outside in nature, that's imprinting on you. You're bringing that in and you're experiencing that as like that being. If you are bringing in media, you're experiencing that as part of your being. So everything has an influence. And so when you get really like specific about curating your influences, That's it. Now you're going to produce from that place of what you have been inspired by, what has inseminated. And so that Three of Pentacles, it's like, yes, you're meant to build with others. Yes, you're meant to encounter others. Whether that encounter is, like something where you have to go within in order to find your way out, because that's what the Hermit card is. You might have no social opportunities right now. And you might not see where this inspiration is coming in. But what it means for us to turn this around is, first of all, there's an honesty with self, and there's finding a level of inspiration within yourself that leads you in any given direction. For some of us, we're so divorced from what we want because we've been feeling trauma after trauma after trauma. We've gotten used to like survival, and our idea of survival is being important to other people. And so there's a desperation that can come in around like performing for survival, and it might have worked for you for a long time because there was no choice, but like emancipating yourself from that is always what the Hermit card is. The Hermit card is always when we leave slavery, because we have to do it alone, because we're going into uncharted territory, and because wherever we're leaving, this isolation is better than that. And so when we find ourselves in a hermit position, it's like, this is because we have to be. This is because we have to make this journey. And it is a journey where we are spirit led, and there is no one else that is part of that influence. Like, it is spirit that is influencing us. And so one of the first things that we look at with the crown chakra, your psychic abilities and fertility, what are you letting influence you? What is the guiding light within you? And is that guiding light within you? Or is it the voices in your head, the interference patterns that are telling you that to be good enough to be of worth, you have to be like any other person or something else? Because again, what's going to bring you out of the center of yourself? That's what's going to bring you out of relationship with others and out of relationship with the opportunities that come from knowing who you are and operating in that maturity. And so this Hermit card is about discovering who you are. So that soul time and that Hermit is like, if you find yourself alone, you're waiting for an inspiration. You might be in the dark on what that is. But with fertility here, you are meant to encounter it. And that encounter is meant to bring new life, change to your life. The new life is going to bring change to your life either way. Whether it's like a new baby, or it's a new person, or it's a new... Like, it could be a new relationship, it could be a new baby, it could be a new job, it could be a new project, it can be a new creation. That's what we're going towards. That's the unblocking your heart chakra is being properly in a place of reception to receive this inspiration, insemination, experience. And so you're leaving where you are, which is locked up somehow. Wherever this hermit position of, I gotta change, I gotta figure out who I am, I gotta go on a journey, I need to allow for a period of soul time where I don't know, I'm not the expert, I'm coming at this like a child. I know that there's a path meant for me that is going to give my heart the nourishment and the joy and the love that it deserves, but I have nowhere to plant that seed, and so I have to leave whatever closed situation I find myself in, and I might have to go by myself. I might just have to be led by my interests one step at a time. But I allow for this inspiration to come through by working on what it means to not be where I am, and to be open to the possibility of something that I can't see yet. And that takes in this notion of childlike wonder. Like, we can be in the tower and in a deception that says, this is how it is, there's nothing I can do, I've been victimized, and life has done this to me, and life is no good, and there is no love, and there is no hope, and that's just the way that it is. That's not allowing for an alchemy of change. That's being certain about something. That's foreclosing things. And even if all you can see are closed doors, there's still the possibility of an emancipation from within and then out. There's always a possibility for an inspiration of seeing a paperclip on the floor and realizing that you can pick the lock with it. There's always room. You always leave room for something new. You do not stagnate in a certainty of like, this is what it is and it's not going to get any better, because that's giving up. And your guides don't want you to do that. And it's giving up on the opportunities and the possibility that there are opportunities to be met with social maturity. There's opportunities to be met with being seen clearly. There's opportunities to be met with expressing yourself in a way that you can't foresee at this time. And so that crown chakra, that opening up to this soul time, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what it means. I'm going to follow my curiosity. I'm going to follow my wonder. And I'm going to let it lead me into greater experiences of myself. And even if I'm just in a place of observation, there are people doing what I want to do. Or there are not people doing what I want to do, and there are people doing things similar, and I want to do it differently, and I want to learn about what that might mean. There's an openness to like your own limited stuff. Like when you have limitations, that's also an openness that there's stuff that you don't know. When you are so addicted to certainty and so sure that there's only one way to see something and that you're the expert of everybody and everything, and that you're sitting there as like judge and jury, and you cannot possibly conceive of a place beyond your perspective where you're not right about all the things that you're right about. If that's where you're sitting, that's a closed door. The liberation and opening that door and saying, I don't know anything. What I know is these 5 things. I want to know a lot more. And if I know a lot more, I'm going to have a different experience. And so I'm open to into that possibility that something can intercept me and give me a new experience that can expand me. And now something that I did not know is of interest is inspiring me into the direction I'm meant to go. And so you start there with, I want inspiration, and I'm going to look for it. And that's what the 7 of Pentacles, allowance and work. Give yourself the time to work on what it is to be inspired. Even if you've looked everywhere and you've done everything and you can't find it, that's like an interference pattern. You're out here trying to find meaning. Somebody has meaning. Someone's right. Someone's wrong. I'm going to have the right way of doing it. They're going to be wrong. I'm going to, like that's like searching. You're hyper vigilant for having the right thing to say, looking the right way, making the right expression. But that is not what it means to see what's really on offer for you. And so when it's connecting with your intuition, which is the Hermit card, how do you do yourself justice in this soul time? You first start with, I don't know what I'm looking at, and I'm going to go within, and I'm going to pray. And I'm going to pray for inspiration. And I'm going to think about what sparks joy. And then I'm going to go to those things. I'm going to go to the well where I have, like, where something is sparking joy. And I'm going to open myself to learning. I'm not the expert. I'm emancipated from being the expert. I'm open to receiving. I don't know it all. I'm not where I want to be. This isn't acquisitions and holdings. This is who am I and what does it mean to discover that by way of stop looking at the injustice of I'm not this, I'm not that, somebody thinks this, somebody thinks that. Just stop, turn off that fountain. If that's the interference pattern that you're picking up and like regurgitating out in a new way where you're now Miss Fantastic and everything was against you and you're just gonna, plow ahead, like that's not it. Okay, like somebody is doing something, let it go. You know what I mean? What you want to do is, where am I? Who am I? What inspires me? And is what inspires me some petty interference pattern that like I can't stop, rapaciously going back to because it's giving me some hit of false power related to my ego? Because that's what injustice looks like. Even if the false power is being to identify that you're a victim over and over again, because you may have been, but you don't stay there. And the way that you don't stay there is you don't accept it as a premise that holds. You accept it as a circumstance that you are overcoming, that you did overcome, that you will overcome, and that overcoming empowers you to not just free yourself, but free others, and so you do it. Because the option of not doing it is one where you're taking on the mantle of identity that is not offering you any doors out from the circumstance. And so that Ace of Wands here is about inspiration. And that Hermit here is about gaining that inspiration on a journey that you take with yourself to discover who you are. And that soul time is about not knowing who you are and wondering and looking around and thinking about what's going to feed you, why it's going to feed you, and why what you're eating is transforming you, why what you're eating is being transmuted from a shadowy darkness into something emancipating, into something light, into something where you're like, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm confident, I'm ambitious, I'm alive. If stuff isn't feeding your expansion and it's just feeding you retracting into like a petty, mad, judge and jury of your own, we don't do that. That's not, as a spiritual practice, that's not what's going to help you or others. And it's not about helping others. The only way that you help others is help you. That's it. You know, the divine feminine aspect of God is community. The divine masculine aspect of God is taking responsibility for yourself in community by taking responsibility for what it means for you to be mature and maturing and responsible for that process and not making that somebody else's business. Because no matter what your experience is and no matter how much support or lack of support is there, you still are in the process of emancipating yourself at all times from situations and perspectives that keep you from opportunities of growth. Because you can grow in anything. Just look at the flower that grows through the concrete. Yeah, it might be hard and you might be choked out, but then you can come back again. You know, like you can grow through anything. There's a resurrection in every death. And so that Four of Cups says, I can't see it. I don't see it. There's no opportunities. Nobody loves me. There's nothing for me. That Hermit card says, then take a very wild journey spiritually into the depths of yourself and find stories that are going to emancipate you from the story that you find yourself in. It doesn't matter how fantastic that story is. If it inspires you to movement forward and movement towards growth, that Ace of Wands twice is the inspiration that's going to pick you up and carry you away from this tower and into a place of fertility where that new life is what you're looking for in the first place. You're not going to get blood from the stone. You have to move into a new position. And that means letting the old stuff die and letting go of it, including the fact that it puts you in a place where you are uncertain about where you're going. And I hear someone being like, ugh, you know, and of course it's hard to kind of face this stuff, but I think that, like, you know, a true spiritual walk that empowers you, where you are able to access this Ace of Wands inspiration to build your life. We build our life with inspiration. We don't build our life with opportunities. And so you need inspiration to build your life. You don't wait for an opportunity to build your life. And so that inspiration comes in when you aren't foreclosed around the alchemy of who you are and what's available to you. That inspiration comes in when you are working on what it means to look away from what is not serving you and find things that are. See, this person's looking at the cups that are empty. Instead of looking at this person who's saying, here, I have something for you, it's in front of you. It's not what you're looking for. It's something uncertain. So you're going to have to look away from what you wanted, certainly, to something that you don't know if you want it or not. You don't know if it's for you or not. It's just on offer, and that stuff isn't. Pick your head up from what's not on offer. Pick yourself up from the tower of what you don't have available for you in terms of the alchemy that you are meant to create with, and work with what you do have available in terms of the alchemy that you have to create with, plus what inspires you, and move toward that new direction with those two ingredients. That's the only thing that's going to help here with this heart chakra, because the heart chakra with the Ace of Pentacles upside down is like a shutdown, like there's nothing for me. Yes, there is, but you might have to sit back and watch and think about it and not be in a position where you're the expert in the center of attention on everything. That's super important, because it's, for some reason, the Tower, the Four of Cups, the Justice in reverse, you aren't having the mirroring or the relationships that were helping you. You're just picking up on interference patterns that are informing you at a superficial level with just starvation. And it doesn't have to be that way, and it's not a condemnation. If that's true for you, your guys are saying, let's, come on, up and at 'em. We have inspiration for you. We want you to plant the seed that is the life that you're meant to live. It means kind of being in a new position, which means uncertainty. It means a learning curve. It means outside of the comfort zone. It means open to new possibilities, which means that you might not be certain and see the one that you want. That means it's something new. And so we get excited about this Ace of Wands position where there is inspiration coming in. We get excited about finding justice by taking a different route that we haven't taken before, because the route that we've taken hasn't gotten us anywhere. So now we can have hope again, because a new route offers the possibility of hope. And that hope brings in the alchemy of something that we didn't see before that's going to light the way. That's there. It's right there. There's some work that you have to do, though. That's okay. Let's see what this work looks like real fast. Stillness with the Hermit. That makes a lot of sense. This is really wild here, because healing, chaos, action, and I'm granting that one too, and abundance, thriving. You want to thrive. Your heart chakra is like, I just feel someone's heart is just like empty at this point. I don't know who it is, but there's almost this born again quality that I keep on feeling. Like, your guides are like, we want to like baptize your heart into new life. Your heart has taken a beating in terms of you trying to be something to somebody always and never finding that that is met. And not wanting to be something to someone too. Like, it's a funny dichotomy right there. But your guys are saying that, when it comes to this soul time with the Hermit, what is going to bring you justice is really digging in on like the glory and the gold of going it alone and listening to the beat of your own drummer and finding out what the dance and the rhythm of that is, and praying and connecting with your higher self, which is what praying is. Your higher self could be any God that you recognize as a God. It doesn't really matter. But you're praying, and you're listening to the voice within, and you're allowing for that stillness, which is not like a ready answer. It's not like the right answer. It's not the right path. It's not easily accessible. I didn't do all the work. There's a lot of like, I did all the work. That's because you think that behavior and outcome are related at the level that of exchange. They're not. Behavior and outcome are related at the level of maturity, and then it's that maturity that is then the reward in the circumstances to come. That's how you get where you're going. And so that stillness right now is kind of about this period of maturing that has to happen through the integration of everything that you've taken in, all of the interference patterns that have been playing in your head. Now you're going to sit with the Hermit mode. You're going to write a list of all the influences, and you're going to find out, I don't want any of those influences. I'm going to throw them out. I'm not going to take those influences in. I'm not going to nurture myself with influences that unconsciously I don't even want playing in the background of my head. I want new influences. Okay, you've gotten rid of the old influences. Now you're going to curate your life, and you're going to bring in influences that serve whatever that goal that you're working towards in, and you're going to establish what that goal is. And then you're going to allow yourself to open to whatever comes your way. And you're going to do so without judgment. You're going to do something without opinion, without fear, without resistance. You're going to allow the universe to become your partner right here. And you're going to allow for an expansion of stuff. Like, where you see is only so far. Maturity brings you a greater sight. And so like that stillness and that Hermit and that justice means you're going to take everything that you have gathered, and you're going to compost it, and you're going to work with the soil, and you're going to not see what is rooting and what's not rooting, while you make sure that there's sun coming in and that there's the right fertilizer is happening for yourself. There is a 7 of Pentacles. You see this person growing this stuff. You're going to allow for stuff to grow from a place of, I don't know what's going on, into something's going on, but you're going to put those seeds that you're planting come from the inspiration that you are working with when you very carefully decide what has influence and what has access and what becomes this healing chaos. Because there will be confrontations with addiction when you find out that you're addicted to a certain kind of attention. You're addicted to a certain kind of being and way of being in the world that has to change because you're not getting the nutrients from the old way of being. So that thriving has to come in at the level of the healing chaos. Something is going to confront you during the process of, I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what it means. Because inspiration leads you, and that inspiration that leads you brings you to opportunities to mature, which means that where you are and where you're going, there's a distance. And that means that you're not the expert of everything, and that you get to be a student, and that's a glorious position to be in. Because as you're a student, you become the master, and then that thriving happens through that process of learning and that action. And there's the abundance. That's the abundance that's meant for you. And so cultivating that alchemy to receive that inspiration, again, we get inspiration and then the opportunities related to that inspiration. It's not waiting for the opportunities, it's gaining the inspiration, and then the opportunities come from that. And so if you don't have the opportunities, that's not the right question. It's, am I inspired? If you're not inspired, in order to thrive, you have to be inspired. In order for those opportunities to make sense to you, you have to be inspired. And so you need to work on your abundance at the level of working on your inspiration. And that's the revelatory inspiration. That's what we're getting here. Is that you have complete and total control over that. You are not powerless in that whatsoever. You are not confined to the opportunities being offered to you socially or like in your life, like tangibly. You're not confined to opportunities when you're looking for inspiration. And so you are ready to receive that inspiration. That's that fertility. You are ready to get that seed. You're ready to plant that seed. That seed needs to grow. That's okay. That's the Hermit phase. There's going to be healing chaos in this stillness that you're going to embrace as part of this fertility. And you're going to take action on everything you learn, bringing in the right influences. And everything that you learn, bringing in the right influences, is not just regurgitating those influences and mimicking. That is the worst trap that you can possibly set in and step in so many ways. Because it's going to mess up your idea about what your pacing should be as well. Because if you're getting if you're getting somewhere with somebody else's life, you don't know what the pacing on your own growth is supposed to be. You're just trying to like cheat code your way with somebody else's position. And so you don't even know what it means for you to build from your own voice and the time that it would take you to get the recognition that you deserve, because you're comparing yourself to somebody else's journey and someone else's placement and just trying to acquire it over and over and over again. And so you, when you attempt to do your own things, aren't even seeing what your pacing is, where your maturity is and isn't, and what it means for you to get somewhere. The level of shortchanging you do when you just like surf at the level of your interests and don't actually become a student at the level of your interests, like you're shortchanging yourself. And so like that alchemy, that cultivating the fertile soil of what's going to grow is going to determine what the strength of what grows is. And those roots are going to be like the maturity and the power of what becomes. And so this is like you're looking for an opportunity. Where's my next opportunity? You're looking for your inspiration. That's a spiritual thing. And you have so much control over that. And your guides can give it to you. And they won't withhold that from you unless you're sitting as like princess judge of everybody else, superiority complex, cutting yourself down over and over and over again at the level of comparison, at the level of competition, at the level of showing up against all odds, and holdings and acquisitions. Like I can say this stuff all day long. The inspiration, the divine genius is there with people who are themselves. And so that's what this hermit phase is all about. That is what bringing justice to your life is all about. That is what it is to thrive at the level of creating and meeting others with the self that needs to be loved and seen and will be seen and loved, because it's the you that you are. And then the lovers is like creating and having that social maturation that really opens the door to leading and leadership positions, because everybody gets a turn at leadership in time, in relationship to their maturity. They don't get a turn at leadership because they feel entitled to it. And so you have to be able to see where you want to be a leader in life and see what you want to acquire in the way of mastery, which is leadership. And you have to ask yourself, are you trying to be the expert without even planting the seeds, without even letting it grow, and just kind of like surfing the surface of information and then churning it as a projection and a performance and abandoning the entire process of what it would mean for you to thrive? So getting that inspiration is key, but getting that inspiration is being good with yourself, being of good character. That's the whole assignment that's before you. How do you be of good character? Watch your influences. Listen to what your voice is saying. What are you taking from the interference patterns, making meaning of and putting out there with yourself? Is it substantive, or is it a box? Is it a trap? Is it a misrepresentation that's going to keep you like in cycles of self-abandonment? Because the sword there with the prayer says start with prayer with allowance. Pray. I need inspiration. I need to see who I'm supposed to be. I need to see what I'm supposed to be doing. Meditation, journaling. You're going to filter out the voices that you don't want. Now, what are the voices that you want saying? What does that say about you? Where are you from a place where this is integrated in and you're operating from those insights instead of just spouting those insights? Because that's what this means, to be honest with the self. That's what it means to really work with the alchemy of who you are. And so, this next chapter of your life, yes, there's fertility, but in order to sort of move that blockage out of the heart space and receive the abundance and take action in the right way that is going to allow you to receive abundance, it means spending time with the healing chaos, the stillness, the hermit, the soul time. Let the seeds get planted. That's going to be taking the inspiration and putting it in the ground and wondering about it, thinking about it, praying about it, sketching about it, whatever it is that is your process of becoming, integrating conversations. You're more interesting when you're working things out with the information that you've gathered that is of value to you. You're less interesting when you're a self-appointed expert of everything that nobody wants to listen to. And what is driving that? It's kind of gross. With the Mars card here, there's a drive. Like I felt it. It's like kind of stop it. Right, get yourself together. The guides want to give you a fertility in your life. They want to bring new life into your life by way of relationship and by way of opportunities. That's external stuff that comes in and helps you mature. They're not doing it until the soul time period has finished. And that soul time is about, again, you still need to be hermiting. You still need to be getting clear on yourself. You need to be really clear on your influences. You need to be rooting in the right places. And you need to be thinking about where your roots actually are. And if every wind that blows knocks you over, what are you rooting in? Skepticism? Critical, analysis? Like, what are you rooting in? What is your spirituality actually offering you? Escapism? Because if the wind blows and you don't have anything in the way of strength built up, then those practices, you have to wonder where they're getting you. And so Mars is about taking action on like the right roots, the right influences, and then moving with that flow of inspiration. That's the new power. That's the alchemy that your guides are saying, like, this is what we're doing. And so there's a call to cut off these old habits and step into a new reality. Your guides are saying, welcome into your thriving. Welcome into your self-discovery. Welcome into this period of fertility at the level of unblocking that heart chakra. How? Nourish yourself. How? Do things you love. What are the things you love? Look around. Not feeling interference patterns so you can position yourself better and who sees it and why. That is literally never it. It's sticking your head up and being like, what is calling me and makes me feel more alive? If it's nothing, what do I have to work with that's in me that I can kind of be in the dark soil of uncertainty with, trying to come to a better alchemy with? Where's the maturity here? Where's the growth here? Where's the silver lining that I can wrap around this and propel myself forward with? There's alchemy to be done here. Not at the level, I don't see anything, there is no hope. But at the alchemy of, okay, that was a false foundation. I need to start all over again. I don't see where to get my nourishment. I'm going to have to pray until I'm able to bring in some inspiration that will lead me. Because those flow states, what brings me flow and drive are similar feelings. And so you have to kind of watch what drive is driving you, because that's not the same as flow. And you have to move into flow states. Flow states, when you're out of them, make you feel more alive. They make you feel nourished. They make you feel like you woke up and you have more energy. Drive exhausts you. That's right there. You can do the measurement. Is it exhausting me? Is it draining me? Or is it giving me life? Get away from the stuff that's draining you. Get away from the people that are draining you. That's a signal that they're not meant to be in your life, period. I don't care how much their need seems to dictate what you feel like you should do in the way of participation. Let them need. That's their breaking point. That's their journey. You are of no good to anyone depleted, because you're not supposed to be relating to stuff that depletes you. It doesn't help the world expand. And so where you are in flow states, separate from drive, you want to be in the flow states. And there's a difference between picking up interference patterns and then just making noise with those and finding the right positions and the right way to say it and present it. Like, that's not it. So intuition is not interference patterns. And interference patterns are looking for feeding your ego and your addictions. Intuition is going to be confronting you. You're going to be working with alchemy. It's going to be soil. It's going to be uncertainty. It's going to be a different kind of experience of wonder. Drive is escaping from yourself. Flow is being completely and totally yourself. Drive depletes you. Flow gives you life. It expands you. That's where you're going to be listening to your body. Your body's going to be telling you a lot. And so you're going to cut off the stuff that is depleting you, and you're going to start to thrive. And you're going to do so maybe like with the stillness and this justice by just being in prayer, being by yourself. But that inspiration is going to come in and guide you. And it is guiding you to your abundance, because when you're in flow with the alchemy of who you are and what you want, that propels you. That inspiration brings you into areas of expressing your giftedness. And your giftedness is where you have no rival. If you perceive yourself having a rival, then you're not really valuing and setting your value related to the cultivation that you have related to your giftedness, and knowing what your giftedness is, how it works, how it operates, and how it expresses. When you think someone can take what you have, they can take like some version of what you have and jerk off with it and make a mess with it and destroy their lives with it. Because all that they're doing is driven by a desperation and an addiction because that's not a flow state, because a flow state is from what you are purposed for and who you truly are and your voice. And there is no exhaustion in that. And so you can flow and create abundantly without exhaustion from this fountain of what you are. Anyone sort of trying to emulate or mimic, emulating is okay, they can learn from it. But when it gets disgusting, when it becomes perverse, and that's common, that's just somebody running from themselves and using you as a mask to do it. And that has nothing to do with you, and that's not your journey, and that's not for you to judge, because they're just exhausting themselves. They're just dying, you know? And so here's where you're going to take your energy away from other people and what other people say and do. You're going to invest in your own fertility. You're going to clear your heart chakra by making sure that the only things that are around your heart are in service to it. And anything that is not in service to your heart, you are cold cutting off. And that's an action that you're taking. And in this way that you allow the sun to hit the things that you want, the seeds that you intentionally plant. And that is stepping into a place of flow. That is learning your pacing, and that is having a relationship with your growth and your thriving that does, when you are authentic and you are mature, bring in the right people to work with you and to give you those opportunities. So your opportunity comes with the inspiration. That inspiration comes with self-cultivation. You can do it. You have the recipe. This is spiritual advice where you've got the recipe, everything is at the ready, that prayer is answered with you beginning to work with this in a way where you can tangibly start right this minute and start to see the proceeds of that work immediately. That is the abundance that you get and the blessing that you get from information that you can tangibly use. That's a spirituality that is not going to walk you away from your power and your strength, but right into it. And so that's what this thriving is about. And this is what your guides want to bring forward. They want you out of this game and this box and into your abundance. And they want you entering that flow, which is not just one cup being handed to you, but it's an overflowing fountain. You're burning up. You need nourishment. The foundation that you were standing on, the alchemy needs to change. We need to bring in new feelings, new sensations, new hopes, new dreams, new sense of your own competency, new sense of your own desire, thriving. You can do it. You can do it. It's all right here. Is there anything else that our guides want to say before we sign off here? I see 11111 on the clock. So no, I think that's it. Everything is beginning. It's all starting to, I see like the seed going in and it's starting to tend, and your guides are saying, allow it to grow. These seeds will grow. The seeds you plant will grow. So plant good seeds, and we're going to leave it right there.